If you find yourself stuck in the same painful situations, repeating the same cycle, attracting the same type of partners and relationships, then this episode's for you. I'm going to deep dive into self love in this episode and dive deeply into self awareness, because I do believe that when you start to hear these messages, you're going to see where you're going to need to learn to break the patterns of what's no longer serving you, my love. So let's get into it. So I wanted to start sharing about something that inspired me about healing a part of myself before I started seeking love. And I think a part of me knew what I needed to do. I just was avoiding confronting the situation at hand. So I wanted to let y'all know um, I do feel where I've become healed, but a part of me did not want to accept that healed version of herself. And you're probably wondering, what do you mean? Yes, I did the inner work. I did the inner child work. I did the shadow work. And to get deep into it, the only thing that I missed was me being self aware of me, of what I felt, and how to value Val again and seek love through Val again, and not having to go outside of it, look for certain things to make me see it in somebody else when I could just see it in myself. So it took a lot of courage for me to walk away from someone who didn't see my value and who didn't see past that. So for me, if someone decides to walk away from your life or decides to hurt you or decides to put you in this painful situation, it's time to reflect on why you're continuing to be in this relationship. Why do you continue to stumble across certain things when you know dang right that this is not going to serve you? And the reason why you continuously attach yourself to these things are because they are familiar. So I want to set the intention on this episode, why it's important to heal yourself, why it's important to do this before you start seeking love or to start in a new relationship with somebody else. That way you don't run into the same things that I ran into. So this is going to be one important thing that I wanted to discuss with you guys today. It's very important because it's crucial. Emotional stability is important. If we don't have the emotional security or safety about ourselves, we're going to try to feel the void. And the void didn't make sense to me until I understood what I was doing to numb or to not feel the hurt or the pain that I was feeling inside about how I felt about the situation. And when I say the situation, the ending, whether you were ghosted, whether you were blocked, or whether you were left with no clarity, which can happen to a lot of us, right? Like we want to know what happened, but sometimes the why is not the answer. The answer is you. So I knew where I had unresolved wounds and how I manifested relationships and how I manifested my partners and how I manifested the last person. Let's be honest, we can manifest anything, but we manifest what we are. So we don't see it in the end, but in the end of it, after maybe a couple weeks, after maybe days for some of you guys, or months, you'll see the things that were coming up that you didn't see. Like themes are coming up, right? You're starting to get flashbacks. You're like, wait, why am I thinking about this person all of a sudden? Why this, that? Because it all comes back to you're choosing emotional, unavailable partners. You're also self-sabotaging or codependent. And this is one of the things that we have to reflect and we have to take back and see why we do what we do. And I'm not saying that we're perfect. We're not perfect here. But I understand that we all have flaws, and that's the beauty in it. And the power of self-reflection is probably the best freaking thing in this world, because when someone reflects things to you, it's probably your sign to understand why this is happening and to take action and taking accountability for your past choices, for your past mistakes. And I wanted to share something about how this person reflected something to me. This was actually last night. I was self-aware. We were having a great conversation. We start talking about, it's funny because we've run into each other many, many times in different occasions. We have friends that are friends, right? They're friends of friends. So they know each other. They go back from school, like childhood school. So I came into this picture a little bit after the fact because we met through my daughter. So mind you, me and my friend, my best friend, we share a lot about her background. We've gone through it all. I mean, she lost her dad a year before mine, and then I lost my dad a little bit after that. And I think that really created our bond even stronger because there was a lot of things that we were going through and we didn't see within it at the point of that time because we were both hurt. And because of her, I honestly feel grateful because she impacted my life in so many ways. I got out of my shell. I used to not be available to people. I used to be very self centered. And I'm bringing this up so you kind of get a background of who I'm talking about here. And because of her, I've come to this conclusion where I am perfect the way that I am. And so I'm sharing this story with this individual, and he mentions to me, he says, well, I typically do this a lot, and then and I go, what do you mean? And he's like, well, I'm a people pleaser. And I said, oh, you're a people pleaser. I was like, how though? Like, explain to me how. Like, I need to know what you mean by that. Because there's so many ways to do that, and you don't know that you're doing it. So I needed that. I needed to hear that because that was him doing me. Like, it was like him reflecting what I was doing in every situation. And there's nothing wrong with that or him. I'm saying the beautiful thing is that we brought two people together in the perfect moment. And it's funny because he's like, what does this tattoo mean at the right time, at the right place? I do believe that I attract people at the right time, at the right place. And he says to me, for example, the way that you asked if I needed something, because I asked him, I was like, do you need help with something? And I don't know why I feel the need to always be available or to help, or, that's just me. And he says, you actually asked if I needed help with something. And I didn't, he's like, I didn't need help, but you kept asking. So again, to please you, I allowed you to do that. And I was like, okay, well, what did you allow me to do to get my guitar? And I was like, oh my God, like, I didn't know that was people pleasing. And he's like, yeah, it is. And I was just like, oh God. I was like, honestly, I needed to hear that. I was like, I didn't know that I was doing that too. And he's like, oh shit. Like, I don't know. It's going to probably be an epiphany for him too today. Honestly, if you're listening to it, that's amazing. And if not, it's okay. Honestly, I needed that. Like, I needed that reassurance within myself, what I was doing, which there's nothing wrong with that, y'all. There's just things about ourselves that we're not understanding because of past choices, past things, past relationships. Maybe we didn't take accountability. In this case, I took accountability to ask what he meant by that. And it made me reflect what I needed to see in myself, right? So that's the power of self-reflection. So recognize your patterns in relationships. So how do you identify recurrent themes? It's in the people that you attract, right? So that's a beautiful story there where I share about how I attracted it. And mind you, there's nothing, like, we met, we were at a concert, mind you, and this was just an unforeseen event, but it just aligned in that moment for me. I never talked to him, and for some odd reason, I chose to talk to him that day. I really did. I mean, I've known my friend Monica for too long now. I've known her for too long. And I just can't remember how many years, but it's been a while. Probably like, wow, probably like 7 years, I think. I might have the number wrong. Don't kill me, girlfriend. So I want you to understand your attachment styles. And this is what I wanted to bring up. Oh my God, I love that he freaking taught, like, he called me out on my BS. This is how you're going to know how the attachment style that you have influences your life. So he mentions to me, he's like, you get really attached too soon. You do, right? And he's like, and I was like, you know what? You're right. I do get emotionally attached very soon. And and I had to think about that for a second because I was like, why do I do that? I'm hearing the need. The need. Okay, so my needs as a woman, I need security. I need security. I need to know that I'm secure in whatever it is, and especially in relationships, right? So for me, it is. consider codependency, but I want you to figure, no, let me realign myself with that wording. I'm sorry. What I want you to do, what are your common traits of people? I want you to journal on this. I want you to take the time to journal, I apologize. What are the things that you do infrequent people that you've dated? I've brought up the person that I dated before after going through it and realizing my patterns, right? And I wanted to talk about this because I was like, there's something within me that I have to share to people because they have to know. How did these relationships make me feel about myself? So for me, I know this is a journaling prompt, but I will be honest. For me, I was attracting these relationships. They made me feel like I had to prove myself to these men. Like I always had to do something. So the fact that he meant the people pleasing. So that's the perfect example. Like, do you need help? Like, blah, blah, blah. To cut it short, it's like I was people pleasing to do what? There's nothing to do. He was doing everything the right way. Honestly, he was. He didn't even ask for the help. I was the one asking. So it's important that you understand when you're doing these things and reframe your process and not needing to do that because you don't need to do that. He made a freaking great point. He's like, no, I don't need it. Like, and he wasn't trying to be rude. He wasn't trying to be harsh or anything or dismissive, but he was being cordial and honest and honestly freaking faithful. Like genuine, like just no, I don't need help. And I knew, I was like, oh Lord, like this is something for me to know. Also, another journaling prompt: am I chasing validation or a genuine connection? Let's be honest, ladies, especially my ladies. Are you needing validation from a man? Like, what is it what you need? Like, question yourself. Do you want a genuine connection or do you want the validation? Is that something that you need to survive? And that's not healthy. I wanted to share it with this as well. Breaking the cycle and embracing the self awareness steps to break these unhealthy patterns is your inner child, your shadow work, therapy, or mindfulness, right? Take the time to reflect. I loved how he brought up a point where we were just talking. This is actually the first onset of our talking. He said something, but he said it in a way where it was very like, it came off a little dismissive to me, but I also became passive aggressive because I knew there, I was like, wait, what do you mean? And I was like, okay. And I said, okay, why did you say it like that? Like, and in my head, I was like, wait a minute, bitch, fall back. Like you're being passive aggressive right now. Like, so I don't know what happened. So anyways, he turns away and we end up talking again. And I realized like, oh my gosh, like I tell him at that point, I was like, hey man, like I wasn't trying to be like ugly or bitchy or anything like that, but he's like, nah. He's like, honestly, I can see where I flipped. He's like, but I also he talks about how he has a certain condition and I didn't know about it. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know that you had that. And he was just like, yeah, so it's probably why I did what I did. I was like, okay, well, I understand now. I was like, but dang, I didn't know. Like, honestly, I didn't know. But I guess I wanted to take accountability on my part for acting the way that I did. Because I was like, no, like, this is me growing. I don't want to be that type of person around people who doesn't just, where you dismiss behaviors, right? Dismiss the same pattern. Because if you keep dismissing it, you're going to continue to attract it again because it's not going to go away until you fucking like acknowledge it. Let's be honest. And the importance of setting boundaries and learning to say no. Oh my God, please, ladies, and my gentlemen, learning to say no. If we don't say no, then again, we go back to the learning of, are we people pleasing again? When are you going to learn to stand up for yourself and say no? These are setting boundaries. These are important rules for someone in self-love in this self-love journey. If we don't set these boundaries, we're never going to grow. I'm just going to say it for what it is. Also, what's helped me a lot on this self-love journey has been meditation, journaling, doing a lot of work within myself, learning things about myself that I didn't know. Books, there's books. Get a therapist if you want one. There's so many therapists out there. Get yourself a motivational coach. Affirmations. Okay, so affirmations for me have been wonders because when I look at myself in the mirror, I remember that I am remembering that I'm no longer that person, but I'm becoming this person. but I have to accept this person from the past, which was me, that hurt me, in order to go past that and not have a blockage, right? Because if we don't accept it, then we have shame, then we have guilt, then we have fear, and then we have judgment. And then we end up going further down the wheel and we end up being resentful towards each other and anger, right? And I don't want that for you. I want you to adapt to becoming familiar with what has already happened and breaking the cycle by becoming this new you, right? It's an uncomfortable process. I know. But I'm here to tell you, you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it too. And energy cleansing. Oh, yes. So, emotional release practices for me, what has been helpful for me. So, I do Epsom salt baths. So, what I was doing, I would do every Sunday of the evening time, I do a ritual where I just soak in this bathtub in hot, hot water, light my incense candles, buy myself beautiful flowers. That's funny. I haven't bought myself flowers, so I'm going to do that today. I have my candle on right now. And I buy stuff to make me relax, right? Because I do feel when you're in that flight for flight mode or in survival, the fear mode, it's you're not in the present. You're in the, I want to call it, you're too stuck in the past, worried about the future, but not in the present because you're still in this past, present versus future. So it's hard to distribute the energy because you're still attached to that. So you need to kind of break free from it. Eventually, it's going to take processing, because I'm here to tell you that it is a process. Also, I wanted to finally close it on this note for everyone, for my gentlemen and women that listen to me today. You know, appreciate yourself, be worthy of yourself, share the love that you have to others, because we don't grow until we open our vessel, right? That vessel, which is our heart chakra. I want you to understand that everything that we do is from us, because we can't pour into a cup if we don't pour to our cup. This is very important. There's so many things that you can do to take the time to rest, rejuvenate, relax. I actually slept in all day this morning. I said, I am not going to get up. Like, I chose to not get up because I said, I don't get enough rest. I don't get enough sleeping. I'm always going, 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 and I don't take the time to reflect on me. And I actually took the whole morning to soak what happened last night, which was amazing to me. And I appreciate it. And I appreciate the person having this honest conversation. I was vulnerable with him. I told him everything that has been going on, partially. I love that he tells me we'll talk about another day. I love that. I love that. I love that. And because it takes time to get to know somebody. And again, I want you to understand that you are worthy of love. I want you to practice this affirmation. I'm going to put my hands on my heart so I can affection. I heard it. I am worthy of love because I first give it to myself. And I want you to hold this breath and then release it. When you exhale, you release any tension from your body. I felt a huge exertion off of my gut area. And I want to invite you guys to reflect. I'm inviting you to reflect on yourself, taking those times to reflect on things that you've been doing. And even if you're in a marriage right now, congratulations. You've become someone with another individual, right? You share that love and it's amazing. And sometimes when you have a beautiful bond, a beautiful marriage, a beautiful relationship with someone, it's hard to build when the foundation's faulty, when it's cracked, it's flooded, it's overflowing, it's stuck. So I hope that this can help you in resolving your love for yourself. And you can share your experiences with me. Sorry, Mercury retrograde. I'm interested in collaborating with people who would love to share their personal stories with me in self-love. And if you're in a relationship and you would love to talk about your relationship with me, I'm open to hear. I'm open to see what you're not seeing in your relationship. Maybe you're not seeing the thin veil. Maybe you're not aware of what you're doing. I would love to take the time to that. And to end it on this as well, share this episode with someone. Share this episode that might help someone, might help anybody out there. You know, this could be your friend, your neighbor, your colleague, someone that needs to hear it. Sometimes I feel like I'm the vessel. It's crazy because I had posted a few TikTok videos in sporadic themes on my YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. And today I was in my daughter's bedroom and we were just chilling. And I told her, I was like, did you still want to do something today? She's like, no, it's okay. We can do it next weekend. I was like, oh, wow. I was like, thankfully, because I want to just relax this day. I mean, yes, I recorded this podcast for you guys, but I also realized where I've been holding myself back of just not doing anything, just kind of doing me. And a message appeared to me through my vessel. I brought up strawberries. If you saw my TikTok, if you didn't, go watch it. Because if you don't believe, you don't achieve. And I'm a strong believer because God told me, He's like, I need you to say this word, which was strawberries. He's and I told my collective, which is you guys, I said, you're gonna hear something about strawberries, you're gonna eat strawberries or something about strawberries. And that message was for me. I was literally sitting on my daughter's bed and there was a strawberry on her window. She has a plushie of a strawberry. I was like, oh my God, God's talking to me. I need to talk about this today. This is what He wanted me to do. So I wanted to broadcast this to every single one of you guys. I appreciate every single one of you. And I know that you're not here for anything but yourself. And I appreciate that because you're showing up for yourself. That's what matters. Nothing less, nothing more. And love yourself. And I love you guys. Thank you so much for tuning back in with me on another episode here with the Woman Pod with Valerie Atkinson. Take care.